Alright, to get this video started. So, I'm hoping to create this video with the purpose being to explain important Java concepts. The concepts in question are classes, objects, fields or attributes, and methods. I'm gonna read off of this Word document I created to better organize my thoughts, so it's gonna sound a little scripted, and for the most part, it is. So, to start off this video, I will begin with classes. A class is a collection of methods, and methods are named sequences of statements, and statements are lines of code that perform some basic operations. You can think of a class as being similar to a person. If a class is a person, then the objects are the organs, and the methods are the tissue that make up the organs. All of them come together to make a whole person. This all basically means that a class is a kind of blueprint made up of smaller, intricate parts. But the important aspect of classes is that they create objects, which is a nice way to segue into talking about them. Now, objects are fundamental to Java, as it is an object oriented programming language, after all. In simple terms, an object is an instance of a class. In order to understand what that means, we must first remember that, as mentioned prior, an object is created by a class. Once an object has been created, it will then have the characteristics and behavior of the class that created it. This way, a class is able to actually execute its commands. So essentially, while a class is a blueprint for a program, an object is what actually helps the instructions in the blueprint get carried out. After having discussed the bigger Java concepts, being classes and objects, it would help to know how those big concepts complete their tasks in efficient manners. This is where fields would play a helpful role. In order to help carry out instructions from a class, objects make use of fields, or attributes as they can also be called, in order to better handle information in a given code. Fields are simply variables that belong to an object. While they are indeed simple in nature, their aid in Java programming should not go unappreciated. Fields are helpful as they allow for information to be stored in variables. These variables can then be used by said object later in the program to better execute its code. Finally, we arrive at methods. Now, as remarked earlier, a method is a named sequence of statements, and also, as remarked earlier, sequences are just lines of code that carry out simple operations. This intrinsically means that a method is a group of statements that come together in order to complete the goal of which a program is made to achieve. If you look back at the comparison between a person and a class, you can go even further with methods. If the methods are like tissue that make up the organs, then statements are the individual cells that come together to make tissue. Methods are smaller cogs inside of classes, but are a fundamental cog nonetheless, as without methods, there's nothing to compute. So now, after having said all that, a simple recap of everything would go like such. A class is a collection of methods that act like a blueprint for Java programming. Objects are an instance of a class and are created by classes to enact the commands of a class. Fields or attributes are simply variables that belong to an object. And methods are groups of statements that come together to execute code. I hope I did a good enough job in this video's explanation and that it was helpful in better understanding what classes, objects, fields or attributes, and methods are in Java. I'm not really sure how to end this video, but I do hope you enjoyed it all the same, and as such, I'm kind of just going to have to end it with a simple goodbye.